Happy New Year and welcome to another episode of Ian Smissen's Photography. Best to start the new year the way you intend to continue it, so I'm going stir crazy after the Christmas New Year break and thought I'd better get out. 2nd of January today, so I'd better get out and do some photography. Fine, so sit back, hang on and enjoy the ride, and I'll talk to you a bit later when I find something to shoot. So we're about to turn right onto Turton's track. It's not quite the romantic little drive that used to be before they sealed it, but it's still a very pretty drive through the eucalypt forest. Hopefully if the rain stops we'll have a chance to find a spot to pull over and show you the forest more closely and see if we can find some compositions to shoot the forest. Tall forest is actually quite difficult to shoot because it's very difficult to find a composition that takes into account the foreground, midground and background. It ends up often just being a bunch of trees and mess in the background. So see what we can do. All right, well, looks like there's a little spot where we can get off the road just back there a bit. So I'm going to grab the camera and go back and see what we can find. Okay, I'm set up here on the side of the road, a little bit precarious on a bend, but I can get off the side of the road next to this guardrail. I'm going to walk across the road and show you a bigger view of where the camera is and what the setup is. So I'm looking down this valley and hopefully I can get a shot of the trees on the left, the foreground ferns and those foreground smaller trees. And I'll take a wider angle shot and then zoom in a little bit closer. So this is what I can see through the viewfinder of the camera. Obviously the video is a little bit narrower format than the still shots, but you can see the ferns in the foreground, the taller shrubby trees in the midground, and then the taller trunks in the background. Well, I think that's enough for here. I'm just going to move a little bit further down the road and round the corner and see if I can get a view across this little valley rather than down it. There might be a couple of gaps between the trees a little bit further back up the road. So when I get set up, I'll show you what I can see. Well, you can see here there's a nice little gap between some of these trees that gives me the tall trunks of the eucalypts in the background, and again ferns in the foreground. Same problem I had previously with the exposure, so I'm going to shoot another bracketed HDR and see what we get here. All right, one last shot. I've moved up the road a bit further and I've found this tree fern on the left with the fronds framing a nice little window through to the forest in the background. To the eye it looks quite good. I'm not sure what it'll look like on camera, but I'm going to switch over to video here and show you what I can see through the viewfinder. I might have to drop down just a little bit to raise those fronds up higher and get more of the background in. But I'll take a couple of shots here first and then move the tripod if I have to. All right, so I've driven a few kilometres further down the road, and as you can see we've got another beautiful viewpoint with some ferns in the foreground, these acacia trees in the mid-ground, and then going back to more acacias and eucalypts in the background. I'm going to go and get the camera and see what we can see. Okay, initial camera setup. I'm going to take a panorama here, so I've got the tripod head levelled and the camera in vertical format and levelled using the LCD screen in the back of the camera. I'm on ISO 100 at f16. I need f16 because there's quite a deep depth of field here from the flowers in the foreground all the way through to the trees in the background, and I want all of those in focus. My initial camera setting is on 1/400th of a second, but I'm going to take 5 stops bracket above that, bracketing at 1.5 to 1 2/3 stops. The reason I'm doing that is because the sky is very bright. My initial setting of 1/400th of a second was calculated by putting the LCD screen on live view and just stopping down until I stopped getting those flashing blinkies in the white sky in the background. So I know that the sky will be well exposed there, and hopefully 5 or 6 stops above that will be enough to expose the foreground well. So I'm going to take some test shots and then I'm going to take the panorama and I'll show you what I get. Okay, here's the classic shot of Turton's track. Big hairpin bend with the valley going off down behind me. I'm going to take some shots down that valley and then I'm going to come over here and take a panorama of this whole hairpin and see how that goes.